Hi, Tim.
Hi.
I'm Nancy. I'm just coming to see how you're making out with breastfeeding.
Okay. Hi. Well, good. All right.
It's going pretty well.
It's going okay. Yeah, she's my second, and it's hurting a little bit.
It's hurting a little bit, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did it hurt with your first baby?
Well, it did, and I didn't end up feeding very long. I just breastfed for about 6 weeks or so, but the first couple of weeks were pretty painful, and it's sore now, but it's supposed to hurt a little bit at first.
Well, actually, it's not supposed to hurt.
Okay.
So we'll certainly help you with that.
Okay.
That's something that we want to fix up before you go home.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go home with sore nipples.
Okay, good.
And it hurts. You're not going to want to breastfeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really hard last time.
All these years we would have breastfed, they would have done it. It hurts. Okay. So how long did you say you breastfed?
About 6 weeks.
Did you want to breastfeed?
Oh, yeah, I did, but it was just too hard. It was painful.
Okay, so how old is that little baby now?
3.5.
3.5. Oh my goodness. Okay. So probably you forget what it was like to have a
Yeah,
newborn in your arms.
It's almost like starting over, really. So,
I'm sure it is. Yeah, most people forget because you only have a little newborn for a couple of weeks, and then babies know what to do, and you forget what you did with the first one. So it's just as important the second time around to learn all about it again and
yeah, I'm really
find
happy
out
you're
what's going on. And every baby's different. Some babies will do really well, and the second baby might come along and not do so well. So anyway, so maybe we can go over a few little things.
Okay, she's hungry now.
Yeah, most babies will nurse at this age almost any time.
Great.
So do you unwrap her usually when you put her to the
Well,
breast?
actually, no. Should I take off her stuff?
You should be unwrapping your baby. We don't encourage wrapping babies anymore because it's okay if you want to put a little blanket around them when you're just holding them to soothe them or whatever, but we encourage skin to skin. So
all her cold? She won't get cold?
No, she won't get cold because your body temperature will keep her nice and warm.
Okay.
And they've actually shown in research that the body temperature of a mom warms up a little bit if the baby's cool, and if the baby's too warm, the body temperature can actually go down a whole degree of the mom to bring the baby's temperature down.
Okay.
So you actually regulate your baby's body temperature only if she's skin to skin. If she's wrapped up and has clothes on, that doesn't work so well.
Okay.
Just get it off here. Okay, very good. So how old is the baby now?
2 days.
2 days, okay. That's why your breasts are hurting a little bit.
Yeah, I've been kind of feeding for a couple of days. It's pinching a little bit, so
it's pinching, is it?
she's looking for it. So I'll just latch her on then. And
well, you show me what you do normally, and if I can make some little tips. Yeah, okay. I can see that she's having a hard time to get it good and
really
also the breast
hurts
there.
quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Okay, so why don't you just by taking her off, put your finger right in between her that's right, in the corner of her mouth, and leave it in there until she's all the way off.
Okay.
Don't just
Yeah,
break
I
the suction.
kind of just pull
If you
her
just
off,
break
that
the
might-
suction, and then she might clamp down on yourself. Leave your
Okay.
baby finger between the back gums until she's all the way off the
Okay.
breast, and then you'll find that she doesn't. Because that can really hurt if she clamps down, because that's responsible. I'm going to show you with my doll a little bit.
Okay.
What we do. What we want to do is make sure that the baby's chin is tilted back really far when you take. So when your baby goes on, if she's over this way too far, her chin might be on her chest, and that's really hard. That's probably how she is with this. So you might find it easier to switch your baby and hold her on the other arm, which we call a cross cradle hold, with the palm of your hand on her shoulders. And the reason for that is we want to tilt the baby's head slightly back before she goes on the breast. And if you think of it, when you take a big drink, you tilt your head back and open up your throat, big drink, and your chin can drop then if you want to swallow, but also your throat is open nice and wide. If you put your chin in your chest and try to swallow, it's really hard. So babies are the very same way. If her chin's on her chest and she's around here like this, and she's trying to swallow, she might look like she's latched well, but that's probably going to pinch your nipple. And baby won't get a good feed anyway, so it's not worth putting up the sore nipples, because if you have sore nipples and baby's pinching them, probably she's not latched enough to get a good feed.
Okay, that could be what's been happening.
So what we want you to do is pull the baby back slightly like this, so her head's tilted back, and she's going to go on with what we say her nose to her nipple. I have a breast here that I can show you with. And if you can remember that little saying, nose to nipple, it's a lot easier because we don't want the baby to go on the mouth of the nipple right over at the bullseye, because then the chin's going to be on the chest. So we want the baby to go on nose to nipple, because then she's back here like this, and her head's going to be tilted back. And I've got the baby on my arm, positioned on my arm with the bum tucked under there, palm of my hand on her shoulders. The nape of the neck is in the web between the thumb and the index finger, and the index finger and thumb on both sides are underneath the ears, so you can tilt her head back slightly. So I'm supporting her head at the base of the skull, not up here. The moment I even put one finger up here, I'm going to push her on like that, and her chin's going to go on her chest. So nape of the neck there, I can tilt her head back slightly, so I can bring the baby nose to nipple and push the baby out quickly. And the baby's bum is under my elbow, my arm, my shoulders are sitting nice and straight, my arms down by my side, so it's not way out here like this, so when you get pressure in your shoulder, your arms nice and close by your side, which is really relaxing and comfortable. Remember, you're going to be sitting in the same position for maybe half an hour or possibly longer. So you want to be nice and comfortable. And you've got your baby underneath this breast, so she'll be slightly underneath the breast that you're feeding her on. Okay. And laying on your arm. And what we do with a little pillow or blanket or something is sometimes support mom's arm, but not a pillow to lay the baby on, because if baby wants to be really close to mom, then she should be supported on your arm. Then you have more control over the baby's body. Okay? The other thing that we need to remember when you put your baby on, and that's why we call this an asymmetrical latch, they kind of come onto the side of the breast, is that the lower jaw is the only part that moves. If you put your fingers here and open and close your mouth, it's only your lower jaw that moves. It's a hinged joint on each side, but only your lower jaw moves. So we want the lower jaw to push in around the edge of the colored part of your breast, which is the areola. Everybody has different sized areolas, but we want to push in around where the duct's coming into that area. You'll feel a tissue change if you press with your fingers. And we want the lower jaw to push in there, because the lower jaw actually pushes in, causes some compression, which causes milk to come to the end of the nipple. And then when the milk comes to the end of the nipple, the baby uses suction to bring that back. But that nipple needs to go way back to the baby's throat. If you took your tongue and pushed it along the roof of your mouth, you'll feel it's really hard. Then it gets to a soft part at the back of the palate, or the top of the mouth. And the nipple really needs to go back to where that soft part is. If I was to show you with my hand, this is the hard part, this is the tongue, this is the nipple. It's going to hit where that soft part, that breaking part is there. The nipple needs to hit into there. And therefore the baby's going to press behind with his jaw behind the color part. If the nipple hits back there, suck, swallow, suck, swallow, suck, swallow, becomes one motion. He doesn't have to transfer milk from his mouth back to the throat. So even if he has a big spray of milk, he can handle it better if the nipple's way back in the throat. And so it's really important. And if you see there, the nipple's back in this wide open space, there's absolutely no pressure on that nipple. You could nurse your baby for hours. Hopefully you won't have to, but you never have any soreness there. But 1 or 2 minutes of nursing up here, where the tongue is pushing the nipple against the roof of the mouth, will cause damaged nipples, and your baby won't have to repeat anything. Okay. So he'll come off still looking for more milk.
Probably what happened last time.
Probably that's happened. It's quite common. That's what happened. So if you want to try latching your baby, the other thing is holding your breast. I see you're holding your breast up here. You're supporting it really well, but your fingers up close to the. So try to make a C with your hand, with your thumb and the rest of your hand. Slide your hand up along the rib cage, and when it comes to where your breast joins your chest wall, make a big C right back there. And then as your baby's sucking and swallowing, we'll wait till he gets on and I'll explain to you how to do this. So we want to try. The other thing I'm going to show you again before we get started, this little arm here, you'll find it a bit easier if you put it backwards between the two breasts, like this, backwards between the breasts, as you have it there now, because that gives your baby a good line of position. So the shoulders are sort of lined up between the breasts. Sometimes if it's up here, it's all right to put it up there if you're comfortable like that, but sometimes you tend to push your baby around too much then. Okay. So if it's backwards here, it also means his arm is very comfortable across his chest, and he's not going to push himself away, and sometimes babies get squirmy, and they push themselves off the breast a little bit after they're latched. So you're comfortable holding him there?
Yeah.
He feels comfortable on your arm. Does he okay? And you're sitting nice and straight. That's really important. You don't want to see mom sitting way back like this. Sometimes at home you can use maybe a towel that's nice and firm. You want something fairly firm. And if you make a little roll, it supports your arm. And all you really need to support is your arm around your wrist here. You don't need to support every portion of your arm, as long as you have support around your wrist here. Okay. So you're nice and comfortable as you are there, and your feet are crossed. You can also use a little footstool. It's nice to have, I'll pull this a little closer for you. It's nice to have your knees slightly higher than your hips, because it causes you to sit a little straighter. If you're sitting with your legs out, you're going to be back like this. But you want to sit a little straighter so that your breasts sort of hang forward a little bit. And even if you wanted to lean forward a little bit on that, and then maybe I'll, if I had a pillow, I can put your back here.
Okay. Yeah, that is
Is that more comfortable? So you're just supporting your wrist. You don't need to have a great big pillow. If you have one at home and you're comfortable with it, that's fine. But the chairs in the hospital have that sometimes make the pillow way up here, and we don't want that. We don't want your shoulders to be up. Okay, so you're comfortable, and so rub the nose along the nipple. That's it. Just above the upper lip there, and then push your baby on. That's good. Now you can see what you're looking for. The chin's off the chest there. Does that feel a little better?
It actually doesn't hurt at all.
Doesn't hurt at all. So
But
the chin
before, her nose was really shoving in.
her nose is shoved in. Well, with the baby's head tilted back, you can see here that the nose is going to be back, because if you tilt your baby's head back, the nose is going to be away from the breast, which it is there. It's not touching at all. I can slide my baby finger between the nose and the breast. If the baby's chin is tilted forward, his nose is going to be touching. So if his nose is touching, you can always just pull the baby back a little bit, and then his nose comes away, his chin goes in nice and close. So that's another thing to look for. His chin's off his chest, you can see down there. And you can see the lower lip is, the mouth is wide open, because you see that angle at the corner of the baby's mouth is nice and wide and straight like that. It's not closed down like that. It's nice and wide and straight. So he's got a nice wide open, and see he's starting to suck and swallow. So take his hand and give a little pressure on your breast as he starts to swallow. If you put a little pressure there, squeeze, that's great. That causes him to have a bigger swallow. Suck and swallow, suck and swallow. You can see the chin dropping there. And that means he's swallowing. And sometimes we'll see babies go on and they do suck, 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 suck. And then all of a sudden, when you give them a little pressure there, they start to think of your first what we call a letdown. The milk starts to let down. It's back there, the breast, but it starts to come down. So it's going to do suck and swallow, suck and swallow, suck and swallow, suck and swallow. And right now you have colostrum, which is really, really important for the baby to get, but it's very small in amount. So a baby's tummy is very, very tiny, just about the size of a large marble. Not very big at all. So you just need drops, and baby, colostrum is very thick, so babies learn to swallow and suck without having to cope with a lot of thinner fluid like the milk is after day 3 or 4. So you look very comfortable
that's
there.
actually
Your
feels great.
shoulders, no pressure here. Your arm is nice and close to your body. Your baby's laying well on your arm here. Good. And you're supporting with your wrist is supported. And you're holding him nice and close. Those are the things we really look for. His chin's back. And if his chin isn't back when you put him on, you can just hold him in tight and slide back. It's really important to hold him in nice and close for the whole feeding. Sometimes what we find is we get him on, and then we sort of relax a little bit, and then without realizing it, he slides down a little bit. And just a little bit. Yeah, and you're comfortable with your legs.
Yeah, I like to
It
cross
gives
my
you a little-
legs.
gives
Yeah,
you a
short
little support
legs,
for your
that
arm.
helps.
That's really good. So right now, your milk is not sort of, the more mature milk hasn't started to come in, and you've got milk, which is colostrum, and it's small amounts, but it's going to start coming in more volume about day 3, day 4, depending on the baby and depending on you and what your delivery was like. And, so when it does start to come in, you might be home.
Yeah, probably.
And if you notice that your breasts are getting really full, all of a sudden one morning you wake up and they're really full, and baby's nursed off both and they're still hard.
That happened last time, actually. I got really full.
Okay, so what we advise you to do now is to keep your breasts soft. It's only going to be for maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe from day 3 to day 7 or day 4 to maybe up to day 10, that we have this big rush of hormones. And it causes your milk to come in lots and lots of volume. It's not going to be like that all the time, but it's going to be like that first few days. So we used to see a lot of engorgement. We don't see much engorgement now because we teach moms that you need to take that milk off. So if you have a little pump at home, or I'll show you how to hand express, you can hand express and take that off, or just to comfort, but don't let your breast get hard in that few days. Then all of a sudden around day 3 or 4 days after it's come in, you'll notice, oh gee, I'm just making the amount my baby needs. I don't have those heavy, hard breasts anymore.
Nice. I had thought that if you took some off, more would come and would make it worse.
Well, actually, that's what we used to think, and probably a lot of people will tell you that.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
take
what
it
I
off,
did last
just
time.
make more. But we know now through research that
Okay.
whether you take it off or not, you're still going to make more because of the big rush of hormones that first few days. So it's really important to take it off. And sometimes your baby will do it just by waking your baby up a little more often, or picking him up a little more often. Which brings me to, do you know when to nurse your baby?
Well, I mean, it cries when it's hungry, I guess.
So again, we don't like to wait until babies cry.
Okay.
When babies cry, it's a late hunger cue. So we like to watch our babies and look for the hunger cues. And when we watch our babies, if we notice they're sleeping nice and soundly on their back with their hands free, we don't want babies to be bundled at all. Years ago, we bundled babies in 2 or 3 blankets. The tighter the better. We certainly, as nurses, we taught mothers how to wrap babies really tight, but we don't do that anymore because it's actually a risk factor for not waking for your nursing cues. It's actually also a risk factor for SIDS because if babies are bundled really tightly, they may not wake up if something's going wrong.
Okay.
And although we don't know the cause of SIDS, we do know that babies that are bundled tightly might sleep through whatever it is. So we want babies to be just on their backs with their hands free. You'll notice when your baby goes through what we call a period of light sleep, they'll start to sort of twitch a little, move a little bit. You might see what we call rapid eye movement or REM sleep. You might see your baby starting to squeak and make little noises. You might even see that their hands come to their mouth or they move their head from side to side and stick their tongue out. Those are all cues that your baby is ready to nurse.
Okay.
You may not come to full awakening the first couple of weeks. So what you need to do is watch your baby through the day, which I know you're probably going to be doing. For a few minutes, you're probably going to be having a peek at them. And when your baby does that, pick them up, undress them, maybe change them, put it right to the breast. You'll probably nurse very well and go back to sleep again.
Okay. So he's starting to get hungry when he does that.
He's starting to get hungry when he does that. And babies are waking because they're hungry. Okay? If you don't pick him up then, he may go back into a deep sleep within 5 minutes or so if he doesn't wake fully, and he'll miss a feeding time.
Okay.
So we say babies, we don't say wake babies every 3 hours anymore, or every 2 hours or every 4 hours. We say watch your baby, and they need a minimum of 8 feeds every 24 hours. So that might be every 2 or 3 hours through the morning and afternoon. You might come into evening and you might find they cluster feed, which is a baby would cluster feed and be fed maybe 4 times in 4 hours. So very often between 6 and 10 in the evening, you might reach your baby at 6, again at 7:15, again at 8:30, again at 4 to 10, and there's 4 feeds in 4 hours.
And that's normal.
That's quite normal. One period of that in 24 hours is considered normal. And then one period of stretching out 4 hours or more is considered normal. But if your baby's stretching out 4 hours or more all day and all night, it's not going to be enough.
That's not enough.
That's not enough. So the magic number is 8 or more. You can have 12, 13, 14, whatever. If it's a tiny baby, you might want
Is
to
that
nurse
written down anywhere? So I might forget that.
That's actually written down in this little book, which I'm going to give you.
Okay.
It's in this little book, and it talks about learning to breastfeed, and this has everything in it in a concise fashion. It's all written down in here. It talks about breastfeeding positions, it goes over them. Tips to help breastfeeding, and it's there that babies need 8. I think it says 8 to 12 feeds, but you can even have a bit more than that.
Perfect.
And speaking of this little book, it talks about when you do express your breast milk, how to store it. And I'm not going to spend time teaching that because it's all here in the book. But you can leave it in the fridge for 5 days, which is surprises most people.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh my goodness, 24 hours. If it were formula, it would be 24 hours, but breast milk is very stable. Deep freeze 6 to 12 months. So, it talks about all that in there. It's all written down. On the back of this book, we have telephone numbers. We have a breastfeeding line, which we check every day, Monday to Friday, from 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
So if you call at 2, 3 in the morning, that's fine. It doesn't ring. It just goes into the message machine, and we call you back in the morning. Also, we have the Healthy Health number here and the telecare number. And those numbers are all there, so don't hesitate to call if you have any questions or anything.
So how do I know when he's done?
Okay, so how do you know when he's done? That's a
He's
really
getting
good
kind of
question.
sleepy here.
He's getting kind of sleepy, so give your breast another little compression. So you take your hand and squeeze a little bit like this, and see if you start sucking a little bit more. The best way to keep a sleepy baby awake is breast compression. Okay? Again, it's not putting cold paws on your baby. You might want to rub the palm of his hand a little bit, but breast compression is probably the best way because then he senses, if he's awake enough to sense that milk is there, he'll start sucking again.
And he's swallowing now.
He's starting to swallow and suck again. So good breast compression. If your hand gets tired there, you can move it around this way and squeeze here. And just good breast compression because that brings the milk down and kind of initiates another little what we call a let down of the milk. And so he's doing fine. I'm going to suggest you just get him slightly under the breast so we can actually see you with at least one eye. Babies, when they're breastfeeding, the perfect line of vision for a baby is underneath the breast slightly. So he's from his eye to his mom's eye is a perfect line of vision for him. So he can actually look at your face when he's breastfeeding. So he's not looking into the side of the breast down here or your armpit. He's under the breast slightly, so he can look up and see mommy. And that's a perfect line of vision. He's close to her. He's cuddled in. He's against that nice warm breast, and he's looking up at mommy. And that's a really nice feeling for a baby. So if you at least with one eye, you can see him, and that's good. And you can see him, so you can sort of see what he's doing too.
It seems like he wants to come off.
So he's just opened his mouth and he's come off. Wait till baby comes off on his own, and he will come off on his own when he's finished. And I'm going to show you how to, between breaths, you want to keep your baby awake or have him wake up a little bit. So you can burp your baby lots of different ways. Lots of times a breastfed baby won't have a burp because maybe he hasn't taken in a lot of air. Maybe he's cried a little bit before the feeding. He might have taken in some gas and have a little bit of a burp. So it's a good idea between breaths to sit him up, because babies that are sitting in a sitting position tend to wake up a little bit more. Just take the palm of your hand, put it on his tummy, and hold his little jaw bones with your fingers, with your hand. So you can slightly lean forward, and then rub his back, and he'll sit up straighter. As you rub his back up and down, he's going to sit up straighter. And if you realize a straw in a glass and it's bent sort of, and a bubble comes part way up, it's going to stay there. But if the straw straightens up, it'll come up. So, and if it doesn't, you would flick the straw a little bit. So rub your baby's back a little bit. As he straightens up, he might have a bit of a burp. If he doesn't, give him a little pat, and it might come up. But don't spend 15 minutes trying to get it. A couple of minutes is fine, because if there's no bubble there, there's not going to be anything to come up. So this also, you notice, is waking your baby up a little bit.
Yeah.
She's starting to open her eyes a little bit. So what did you say her name is?
Stacy.
Stacy. So Stacy's starting to wake up a little bit more.
Yeah. So she might want the other side, do you think?
She probably will want the other side. You should always offer the other side. Even if a baby looks sleepy, give them a chance to wake a little bit, and always offer the second side. Very often, they're quite full, but if you give them a minute or two away from the breast, then they'll get back close to that breast and start to... And I'm going to show you another hold that's nice with newborn babies. This is the cross cradle hold that we just did. The other hold is what we call the football hold, or clutch hold, some people refer to it. It's just like a football player would hold their ball right at their side, kind of push back a little bit. So to do this hold, you have to lean forward slightly, because the baby's feet are going to go around beside you. And it's the same principle. You've got your baby on your arm, with the palm of the hand on the shoulders, fingers under the ears, not touching the back of the head at all.
So with this I have to hold.
You have to hold the breast underneath on this side. Yeah, exactly. Just like that.
Low one.
Perfect. Just like that. Then this little arm, again, if it's getting in the road, you can put it across the baby's tummy, and it kind of pushes into the back of your breast there. It gives a little pressure there. You can put that little arm wherever it's comfortable for you. And lean forward slightly, and then bring your baby back again, so it's coming onto the side of the breast. And the same principles apply. You're doing that really well here. That's excellent. You look like an old pro here. That you want the chin off the chest. Same principles apply. Perfect. Nose away, and then push your baby on. Excellent, excellent. Comfortable here?
Well, it's kind of, she said, I need something under my wrist there.
Put this onto your wrist. Okay, lean on that. Does that feel better?
Much better.
Okay, and you pull her back a little bit more. That's the way. See, the further you pull her back, the more her head tilts back. And she again can see.
I really like this one.
This is comfortable, isn't it? Some moms really like it, particularly if you're right-handed and you're holding, this is your second baby, but with a new mom holding a baby for the first time, they're more comfortable because new babies are fall apart sometimes. So you're more comfortable with your right arm if you're right-handed. You may want to use the cross cradle for the left and the football for the right, because you're still holding your baby in that right side. Or if the baby's had maybe a forceps delivery. Did you have forceps with the baby?
No, I didn't. Just that suck thing.
The vacuum. So the baby still might have a little bit of a sore head. Sometimes those babies like that will start to suck, and then they'll cry and come off a little bit, because all those muscles in the head have been affected. But if your baby has a bit of a sore head, and maybe it's on one side more than another, they might prefer to lie on one side. So that's okay the first few days. Let them lie on the side they wish to, which might mean you might want to keep them on that side, or it might be the other side. But so it's nice to know a couple of holds before you go home. The other thing is that if you sometimes find that you're getting a little hard area at the side of your breast, if you put the baby's mouth towards that area, it empties it a little bit better. So it's good to have have an idea
Oh,
how to do the
bubbles.
face. And you're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Good. So baby's sucking and swallowing. See the chin dropping there?
Yes.
So we want to watch for swallows. We don't want to just see suck, 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 suck. We want to watch for those swallows. If you don't see the swallows, you might have your baby on there for quite a long time, maybe even half an hour, and she might come off because she's doing suck, 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 and then just to swallow every so often. We want to make sure she's getting, especially at that first, when you have that big active letdown of milk, suck, swallow, suck, swallow, suck, swallow. Because we don't say a time a baby should nurse anymore.
No.
Years ago we used to say 1 minute first feeding on each breast, 2 minutes the second feeding, and then we went to 15 minutes. But time is irrelevant. We really say, watch how your baby's doing. If a baby's doing suck, swallow, suck, swallow, suck, swallow, they may be finished in 10 minutes. But if she's doing suck, 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 swallow, suck, 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 swallow, suck, 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 swallow, it might take her 35 minutes. So we wouldn't want to say to you, keep the baby out 15 minutes because 15 minutes might be totally irrelevant. So watch, you really need to recognize the swallow and watch it. So that's that little pause, and she's doing it there, the little pause.
And the squeezing helps.
Pause, and the squeezing helps. You'll see bigger swallows when you squeeze your breast. And you've got your hand back nice and far, which is really good. Excellent.
Well, this doesn't hurt at all.
And we noticed when the baby came off the other breast, your nipple was nice and round on the end. That's an important sign to look for. You don't want your nipple pinched at the end of the lips.
Yeah, it's kind of been like that sometimes.
And that means babies compressing the nipple. If babies compressing the nipple, they're not going to have a good feeding.
It's up at the hard part of the
It's up at the hard part of the palate, and it's not going to have a good feeding, and plus, it's going to hurt you. So if it's hurting, it's not right.
So I would stop and start over.
The old wives' tale that breastfeeding should hurt is not true
That's
anymore. That's good, yes, and that's probably why a lot of people don't breastfeed, because they think it's going to hurt. But if you get that good latch, and we, as nurses, we know that 95% of the problems in breastfeeding, even down the road, poor milk supply, things you hear about, really start with a poor latch. Because if you have a poor latch and baby's not emptying the breast really well, eventually the mom's going to lose her milk supply. So we want to make sure before you go home that you have this really good latch.
So how do I know she's getting in?
Well,
She's
she's drinking.
drinking.
Swallowing, and she's drinking. So how do you know if the baby's getting enough? We have this little diaper diary, which is a great little thing to do. I see you've been marking on the back. It's on the chart here. And it's the number of feedings. So every time you circle, you're going to see that there's 8. That's 8 circles in a 24-hour period. And on day 1, you're going to have 1 wet diaper and 1 dirty diaper. And the day 1, of course, is going to be a large black stool. A lot of it. That's been in the baby's mouth for a long time. So you'll see here, it's on the large black stool. Goes right down to day 4 or 5. We want it to turn nice and yellow. And that's a really important thing. If it's not nice and yellow by day 4, we want you to let us know. So before you go home, we like to see that it's starting to turn yellow. We certainly wouldn't let you go home if the baby's bowel movements weren't doing that, because that means the baby's not getting milk. If the baby's getting breast milk, they're having bowel movements, because breast milk is a highly laxative fluid, and so it causes baby's little bowel to really excrete stuff. So bowel movements are really important. Even more important in the first few days than wet diapers, because remember, colostrum is small in volume. There's not a lot of liquid going into your baby, but there's a lot of laxative effect going into the baby. So we want to see yellow babies, yellow bowel movements, not yellow babies. If we see babies starting to get a little yellowish looking, that means they're not excreting that stuff from the liver called bilirubin. They're not excreting that to the bowel. It's sitting in the bowel. It means they haven't had enough breast milk. So we have to get more breast milk. And what we often do is teach moms, and I'll show you this, how to hand express.
Oh, she's coming off.
Oh, she's coming off?
Okay. Here maybe we can do that.
Okay, very good. Okay, you there?
Yeah, she's fine.
Okay. So, how you hand express is you take your hand, your index finger with your thumb on top, whichever hand you're comfortable with, and I'll give you a little cup here to catch the drip, and push back towards the chest wall. Squeeze like a pair of pliers together, the thumb and finger, and bring it forward, but don't slide along. Back, together, and forward. And put your fingers where you feel that change in tissue, which is usually around the edge of the colored part. Not way up here by the nipple. If you do it up here by the nipple, you're not going to get any milk. But if you do it back here, you'll back, in towards your chest wall, squeeze together, and slide forward. Sort of roll forward. Back, together and forward. Good, you're getting some there. Back, together and forward. And you can kind of get a rhythm going, a little faster, back, together and forward, just like a baby would be doing. Babies use two mechanisms. Remember the pressure behind the areola and suction. Hand expression just uses the pressure behind the areola, but it works very well to get milk out. Whereas a pump just uses suction. So babies always get more out than we can either way with a pump or a hand expression. But that works well. So if you want to soften your breasts, or if you feel your baby hasn't nursed well and you want to get a little bit to feed her, you can use that little cup to feed her. Okay. Just sit her on your knee, tilt her head back, and take a little cup and put it to her lip, and make sure her head's tilted back so her chin is up, well off her chest and she can swallow. And just tilt it back and feed it, and she'll take that little bit. So if you find at home that your baby's not nursing well, then for sure you have to make sure that some gets in, because we don't want to see your baby getting a yellow tinge to the skin. That what he means is very related to breast milk. Or whether the baby wasn't breastfeeding, it's very related to just not getting enough milk. So I'm just wondering if there's anything else. I want to show you this video. We have a little DVD player, and I'll make sure you see that before you go. If one of the nurses hasn't brought it down, be sure to ask them. Because this goes through everything I just taught you, but it also covers, you see it with real babies, so it's really good. It's not very long, and it's in little chapters, so you can.
For my husband to see that.
It would be excellent for your husband to see it. Yeah, and even any other family members, if you're a mom or you have extended family around, if you have sisters or best friends that are going to be helping you when you go home, when they're in the hospital or visiting, let them see this with you.
Okay.
Because it's really helpful. I think that's pretty well. Do you have any other questions at all?
Last time I know my mother did breastfeed me, but she really felt I needed to use a soother a lot.
Okay, that's a really glad you brought that up. And soothers really interfere with breastfeeding.
Okay.
Because you suck at the front of your mouth when you're sucking on a soother, or a rubber nipple, or any other nipple other than your breast. So you suck at the front of your mouth, and it's a totally different way of sucking than if you suck towards the back of your mouth. Remember how far back the breast is going to go, and how wide the baby has to open and really use their jaw, which they don't do with the soother. It's comparable to putting your thumb in, the tip of your thumb in, and pushing it up behind your gum line. Sucking like this, you're kind of sucking with your lips instead of with your whole jaw.
Okay.
And so babies learn to suck on a soother, or get the feeling of sucking on a soother. They go on the breast, they want to suck the same way. And it's confusing for a baby, because they say it's like learning two different musical instruments at one time. Instead of sort of mastering one or getting the knack of one a little bit and then transferring it to another. So we say avoid any other nipples. That includes bottle nipples. That's why we show you how to feed baby until 4 to 6 weeks. If your baby's well latched and doing really well at 4 weeks, and you want to leave a little milk and go out and leave a bottle, that's fine at 4 weeks. But if he's not well latched and you're still struggling with some of those things, or your nipples are still being sore, I would certainly wait until 6 weeks. That's when you can call us and talk that over with us. And we can tell you then how to give a bottle for breastfed baby as well. But certainly avoid the soothers. And you may get a lot of people telling you, people have good intentions. They want to tell you what they did, or everybody wants things to work out well for you, so they're going to tell you what they think worked for them. But if it's going to interfere with breastfeeding, you know that. So. Okay. So, any other questions?
Good. So I can call you if I have questions. And what else is going on?
There is something else going on. We just recently started sort of a mother-to-mother support group. It's called the Drop-In. It's every Wednesday from 1:30 to 4 at the community room at the Superstore in Newcastle. And you can come anytime during that time period. A lot of moms that are coming come right at 1:30 because they don't want to miss anything. But we just sit around on the mats and discuss things about breastfeeding, whatever you want to discuss. You can get your baby weighed there. There will be a lactation consultant or a puppy health nurse there every Wednesday. And you'll find it really, really helpful, especially when you first get home. Come, because sometimes some of the other mothers will have suggestions of what worked really well for them, or if you have questions for us, it's a good time to ask them.
Because I don't know a lot of people that have breastfed.
That's right. And if you surround yourself with people that have breastfed, it normalizes it more, and you can ask them questions, because their answers are going to be totally different than somebody who's fed their baby formula.
That's wonderful.
Very good. So the next time you go to breastfeed, why don't you ring your bell and one of us will come down and just to make sure that we don't want you to put your baby on and have your nipples damaged. We do have a little cream we can give you. We want you to only use that a little bit though. It's very dry. Only if you have cracks, not as a prevention. But if you have cracks in your nipples, we sort of commonly call it Dr. Newman's cream, but it has 4 things in it. 2 antibiotics, an anti-fungal, and a mild anti-inflammatory. So, you know, we don't want to have too much of that on your nipples if you don't need it. But if you have little cracks, you need it. But really the best way to fix the cracks, they'll heal on their own if you get a good latch.
Yeah,
Because even a cracked nipple will not hurt if it's back in the baby's mouth. Yeah. And I think that's good. So call us if you have any questions.
I feel really good about what I learned.
And what you're doing there, holding your baby between it's really comforting. It's good to keep your baby with you. You can bring him at home and keep your baby here. We know that you can see the cues, that you can see even at night you'll hear your baby starting to sort of squirm and squeak a little bit. If you get your baby right away before they start to cry, you're going to get another feeding in one of those 8 weeks.
You see them if they're beside you.
That's right. And you're kind of good. You're by the time the baby wakes up, you've already sort of unconsciously heard him and you're kind of waking up too. So you're not sort of having this crying baby from another room come to you. It's much easier that way.